Hi, it's always a great opportunity to talk about Wonderhood and Wonderland. It's great to be talking to everybody. As a founder, into this whole journey, a bit of a background about myself. I have worked with the companies like Intel for about 6.5, 7 years prior to starting and getting onto the entrepreneurial journey. Within Intel, I was working very closely with the sales and marketing team, working on various marketing initiatives as well as building some new strategic initiatives that would lead to market expansion and TAM expansion for Intel regular products as well as some new mobility products that Intel was trying to get into. And also had an opportunity to work into Southeast Asia market apart from India.
Personally, I've spent about 10 years in the US, the formative years of my career with a startup, and just realized the ups and downs of building a company. And then I spent a couple of years, in business school, Wharton, and then with the management consulting company, that actually triggered a lot of interest in understanding different levers of business. And in about 2008, decided to move back to India. And then since then, I've spent a lot of time in Asia Pacific markets, both with Cisco and Intel, and have spent significant time just scaling very new initiatives. So when I joined Cisco as a part of their smart connected communities or smart cities, it was about just sowing seeds and then seeing that germinate and also kind of spread to the entire Asia Pacific markets. So saw it evolved from very small idea to actually building a book of about hundreds of millions of dollars. So that was a very interesting experience, and did something similar with Intel as well when Intel started to do new initiatives in Internet of Things. And that's when Pooja and I got to work together professionally, and we've known each other for many years, even personally.
A quick background or what was the genesis of Wonderlearn, Wonderhood. So, Wonderlearn as a brand, while this got launched in the market in 2020, as a company, Wonderhood has been working with the segment of early parents and new parents for a while. So, we believe that we really understand the pain points, that this market goes through. Entrepreneurial bug has been, just out there. I think driven from many experiences that kind of come together. One would be very personal. I'm a mother to two little children myself, now an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I've really lived that journey of learning, fretting about children on the learning side and trying to navigate what's best, what can be done better. Given being a parent who's busy with work as well as different spheres of life, still how do I get something which can focus on my children. And eventually, as Wonderhood lived through, I think one of the big learnings that we had working very closely with parents of this segment was that learning is the one thing that matters to parents the most, right? So, like if you take the life cycle of a child, moment child is beyond 2 to 3 months initially, when a parent gets comfortable around the child, the focus almost entirely shifts to on the learning and the brain growth and the right growth of the child. Is my child smiling on time? Is my child sitting on time? Are they doing the social necessities which are age appropriate? And from there, very quickly to are they speaking on time? Is the language development okay? Is the hand movement? Is the motor skills coordination? We really found a lot of our, most of our clientele actually fretting a lot about learning. They were repeatedly coming back to us to, find out what is the right stimulating thing that could give my child. I think that was what sowed the seeds for Wonderlearn to begin with. And I'll hand over to Kavita to actually talk about and, just take the journey forward from.
For the last 15 years, there is something that I was spending my weekend hours on, which was on early learning, volunteer time, working with very young children, and then helping them just develop some interest in, what are the good ways of learning and how do you actually trigger that interest in them. So that's where I think this love for learning, early learning came about. And I think as opposed to just making it very prescriptive, if you work with their children in a language that they understand, using a lot of visuals, it just changes the journey for them and the experience for them. So that's how, when Pooja was thinking about pivoting from Wonderhood in its original avatar to Wonderlearn, and that's because, we had seen a lot of parents actually focus a lot on how to give the right tools for children as they go through their developmental milestones, especially if you look at the first 6 years. It's all about, their brain development. 90% of the brain development happens then. And when Pooja and I exchanged notes one of the days, we decided we have that common passion for learning. And I'm a mother myself to a 12-year-old, and we are just trying to implement that in what we are doing day to day at Wonderlearn. Yeah. So, Pooja, beyond just the inspiration and the personal passion, I think one of the things that really pushed us in taking this to the next level was also the survey that we conducted, right? Sometime in early 2020. Do you want to just talk about it?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kavita. So I think, as Kavita mentioned, learning and the brain growth that happens at this stage is phenomenal. And that was like one of the starting points that we had in terms of what else can be done, right? I think one of the hypotheses when we looked at what's there, what's out there in the market, plus what has been done up until now, we strongly believe that the innovation that is done in the early learning space, despite its foundational nature in terms of really building an individual and a human being, what they can become later in life, the innovation there has been minimal or incremental at best. Right, that was one of the hypotheses. We've seen traditional modes of learning for that particular segment have stayed at preschools or daycares, and very minimal has been done beyond that to enable that. Now, with that hypothesis, we actually did not want to restrict it to our own opinions or thoughts. We reached out to a set of nearly 200 parents with children within this segment. And we wanted to understand if the hypothesis is real, if the problem is real, what kind of solutions at best do parents opt for? What is it that is like an unmet need at that point? So and the survey was we saw 90% plus participation in the survey, where parents came back and responded. And some very interesting insights that had come out from the survey at that point in time was that more than 79% respondents still were using preschool as the only mode of learning, but they were clearly not happy about the fact that preschool was the only one. The survey was also conducted in an era where pandemic had just hit. So clearly the satisfaction that parents also had with preschools was going down. However, we did not, we kind of don't consider that as a long lasting data point in an environment when the world is like outside COVID now. So apart from that, I think parents are definitely keen on looking at alternate solutions to learning, which is preschool plus. The third that also came out is like the sensibility of new parents or millennial parents, so to say, right? So parents were looking at something which is not one-time solution. They do care about the fact that we don't want to create just too much waste on the environment, right? So and that was in line with what is existing in the market as solution, right? Largely, those offerings are disposable or one-time activity use, which ends up generating a lot of waste after that is used, right? So this came out in a very resounding way from 80% plus participants. I think lastly, in terms of what are the offerings that parents are going for, given what was existing in the market at that point in time, clearly was like ad hoc digital resources, right? As we have lived through this journey of Wonderlearn and maybe Wonderhood private, but largely Wonderlearn, it's very, very evident. Parents of this age group, they are not happy with digital only solutions, right? The adoption of digital only solutions is very minimal. Parents are immensely wary of screen time of a digital only resource. And why I mean digital only, we'll talk about it when we actually talk more about Wonderlearn offering and the shift that we have seen in the previous. So these were some of the key ones that stood out for us from the survey. Anything that you think, Kavita, here that you'd like to add or you thought came out?
One thing was, we were trying to pretty much take a different approach to how learning can be exciting for children as well as for parents. And because, at every moment that parents get with their children, it becomes a teachable moment, right? You want to teach something, be it a life skill or be it something that they couldn't learn when they were that age. I think it became all the more defined and highlighted during COVID times, because parents would wake up in the morning wondering, how do I keep my child meaningfully occupied, right? Beyond just the online time or just a streaming video. And that's where we said, curriculum is nothing but these are the developmental milestones. Basically, you look at maybe 4 or 5 key pillars of cognitive development, or it could be just a communication or English as a language, art, sciences, and maybe general knowledge. So what we do is we simplify it for parents, as opposed to just wondering whether I'm under challenging my child or over challenging my child. We make it easy for them because we basically just divide them into chunkable monthly boxes. So in that box, they would get about 25 to 30 different items across these 4 or 5 pillars that we talked about. And we also have the second pillar, which is teachers, where our teachers engage with these children in a cohort size of 1:5, one teacher to 5 students, where the same concept is actually introduced through a toy like this. The teachers have these toys, and the children also have those toys. And the moment the toys come into play, the engagement rates become really high because children do not look at this as another online prescriptive teaching. As opposed to that, it becomes just very engaging play-led activity. So teachers come in to facilitate learning, to introduce a concept. And we do have the third important pillar in Wonderlearn, which is tech or a digital app. Because while the physical toys are very, very interesting, and these are all like sustainable because they are made of wood or fabric or paper. We don't use any other material as of now. But they are limiting in a way because children need to understand exactly how does a cow react, or what does it say, how does a farm animal engage with other animals, etc. So we are talking about the multimedia component to a concept which can be actually activated to a digital app, because this is where we create a lot of audio led, audio heavy content where the child is actively listening, engaging to the instructions, and responding through to them through a digital app. So Wonderlearn has 3 pillars: toys, teachers, and tech. And this is turning out to be a very unique mode for us in the industry, because we see a lot of parents coming back to us initially with a hesitation: will my child actually sit through this online program? Because there is a negative connotation associated with it. But the moment they go through 4 or 5 classes with our teachers, where the teachers are engaging and a lot of concepts are getting reinforced on the digital app, they come back and they say, you know what, I think this is what we've been looking for. What Wonderlearn is doing is just increasing that concept, the magnitude of the concept, and also expanding that learning universe for these little children. So I think that's our unique proposition to the industry. So, Pooja, would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, one actually, when you were talking about it, one that stood out to me, right? And this is like a journey that's very close to my heart. I want to take this example of Dian, right, who joined with one of our teachers, like very early adopter into the program. When they initially joined the program and they had a word with our teacher, the child followed a very very specific routine, so very, I would say, structured set of experiences that the child was being given by parents in terms of learning. But what was very interesting with Dian was, as a child, he had huge stranger anxiety, right? And when he came into the program, initially we started working with Dian, and he went into individual class because of the stranger anxiety. And he was working with one of our teachers very closely. Uh, as he lived through the journey, right? Vian was somebody, again, as a child, he did not enjoy music, he did not enjoy songs, but he would engage with toys and just pick up those concepts in a phenomenal manner, right? So he really took the 4 block puzzle, which is like one of the open-ended toys that we have for just developing critical thinking and order. And he was able to do that, work with it very, very independently, unlike many other toddlers that we have. Post 3 months, Vian actually went back and joined a group batch of 4 other students with teacher, and is very, very happily, participating in that group session. So I think that's the beauty, something that we are trying to do with Wonderlearn, right? Just like give flexibility to each child from their own pace of learning, and create something which is very unique. I think with the whole toys concept, as a parent, I can tell you, and this is another feedback that we've heard from so many parents into the program. Anybody can play with a toy, right? Only I, as a educated parent, does not need to sit and spend time with my child to make them learn. I can actually safely give it to a grandparent or nanny and caretaker, and they play with it, and just by playing with it, they engage and they end up learning something. Right? So I think just the multimodal way this comes together with toys and the digital experiences, and with or without teachers, it's very powerful.
Interesting that you brought it up, Pooja, because I think organically also over the last 1 year, we've seen several trends come up, right? Surface from parents also. I think, as you mentioned, it's a very soft landing spot for children. Because for the last 2 years, they haven't seen the real world. They were probably in like a little cocoon of like 2, 3 people, just the immediate family. So before they actually go and then face the real preschool, I think this could just become that soft landing spot, like interacting with teachers and maybe a group of 3, 4 children. And the other things that are actually coming up is, they haven't been exposed to a language other than their native language too. And I think that's where a model like Wonderlearn is bridging, because parents get to sit next to their child when we are in the cohort of 1:5 children, right? And parents are able to effectively bridge the language barrier or the comprehension barrier that the children have between the teacher and the child. This way of learning is disruption proof, because day off or day on, right? A false alarm or not, this model will continue to exist because everything is virtual. So, children will continue to learn and there is continuity all the time.
Pandemic aside, if you take just the urban setups today, whether it's Bangalore with its all the traffic problems, or it's Delhi with the air pollution problem, right? I mean, schools again, physical schools have been declared shut in Delhi, which is an annual phenomenon because the smog, the air quality is so bad that it's just not safe for children. Something like this doesn't, their continuity doesn't get interrupted in a hybrid setup. And in fact, this is one of the reasons why now, as schools have reopened and so many of Wonderlearn children have started going out and schools, parents are still coming back, and they are able to see both models coexist. So, and which was like the original value proposition of Wonderhood as well. So parents are coming back. Evening times when the child is still very high on energy and they would like to utilize that particular time productively, is when we have seen a lot of these kids move. They do preschools in the morning, but they use their evening time to have fun and learn.
We currently have 2 models. One is where the teachers are available through live classes, and this is where there are certain slots which parents pick well in advance. But now with some of the parents going back to workspace, if a parent wants to maybe catch them up over the weekend or in the evening after they're back from work, or if the child wants to go back to the same concept and then practice again and again, we do have this Explorer program, which is just we send a box of toys every month. It will continue to go, but instead of joining live classes, they can actually tune into a digital app and then go through the schedule as per the recommendation. So I think these 2 models together will actually cater to the needs of all kinds of parents, working, non-working parents. Yeah. I think, definitely we've seen good growth in the last 7 months of operations. And I think what is encouraging, very, very, very much encouraging, is initially there was a little bit of a skepticism about the online format, virtual format, but now we see parents wanting to sign up from a three days a week classes. Now they're signing up for 5 days a week, right? And they're actually adjusting their schedules to be able to be there for the live class. And also significant renewal rates. Folks that had signed up for 3 months or 6 months in the beginning, they're continuing to renew for another 3 months or 6 months, right? So I think that's a good token of what do we say, product market validation, perhaps. Yeah, that's how I would put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to the renewal rate, again, something that we brought up in the beginning, right? In addition to that, we are also seeing on the digital platform that we have, our participation rate on the digital itself is 80% plus. With more than 70% parents, they have accessed or completed a lot of courses, or they are in different various of phases of progress with respect to courses. So this was what we were talking about, right? The same set of parents, when you speak to them, and for them, digital is like, don't give me digital. My child is already getting a lot of screen time. I don't care about it. I don't want to expose them to further screen time. But when we combine the whole concept of toys and either pre-recorded videos or live classes, when they see this coming together, their natural adoption to digital is very high because they can see how the learning combines.
I think the hesitation and skepticism about online classes and then the digital app is until they see the first demo, right? That's why I'm encouraging the customer success team to actually go and then show them on day one itself, right? You just do not use the terms, because unless they see it and then experience it, they won't be able to appreciate exactly what we have to offer, because it's very carefully designed and curated, because three of them coexist together. The power actually gets magnified, it's multiplied, multiple X, when all these three come together. So I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah. Cool. It's been an interesting journey, but I think we have many more years to go, and it's only going to get better. So upwards and onwards.